Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and I've been to Golborne. I usually go twice a year. It's the biannual BVWS swap meet up at Golborne near Liverpool, and it's 30-40 miles away from where I live, but it's just a quick trip up the motorway. I didn't pick up very much today, to be honest. I went more just because I like going and seeing what other people are buying and having a browse around and what have you. But I did pick 2 radios up, so thought we'll have a quick show and tell and have a look what I picked up. We've got something from the dawn of the Valve era and something from getting towards the end of the Valve era. So I'll get us set up on the bench and we'll have a quick look what I've got. So back in a sec. Right, okay, there we are. Right, let's start at the dawn of time, shall we? Now this is the set I normally wouldn't buy because they'd normally be well out of my price range, but in this case what we have got here is what you would technically refer to as a basket case. This is early, as in this will be late 1920s, very early 1930s radio set. I love these things. I have a number of late 1920s into the very early 1930s radio sets in my collection. They aren't much good actually as sets to really play, as though a couple of mine are restored, and you can, or at least you could, get stations on them, at least when I have my big long wire aerial set up. With unfortunately the fact we've only got literally 1 or 2 stations on the AM now actually accessible in the UK, and the fact that these aren't particularly sensitive radios, the likelihood of getting this restored and actually up and be able to receive stations off the air, I very much doubt it. But what I really want to do with this is restore the cabinet, get this thing looking as good as it used to when it was made. Probably even we will restore it internally, or at the very least get the output stage working on it so we can connect something up to it and play it through. This does not have an internal speaker or anything like this. This would have been designed to either use with headphones, which your average working Joe could probably just afford, or a high impedance external speaker, either a horn speaker or one of the big paper cone speakers with the basically a high impedance reed moving coil on the back of it. I've got a couple of them as well that we may be able to get one of them working, though they're actually a lot harder to get working than the horn speakers, because the whole thing was like pot metal. It was a very poor quality pot metal, and it tends to deform over the years, and when it deforms they don't line up and they just stop working. As where the old horn speakers, underneath them it's essentially just a high impedance headphone with a big long horn on it. So we might be able to get one of them to at least work with the output stage on this. I bought it for the simple fact that I could afford it. It was dirt cheap, and the only reason it was this cheap, because these are quite sought after, they are quite collectible early sets like this, is the fact that it is in absolutely appalling condition. If I turn it on its side, you can see that side has split down completely. It's not even held together anymore. Ooh. The front is coming off. It is all de-veneering in the corner there. This side again, completely split all the way down there. It's all coming apart there. The top has bowed in like that. I'm presuming there should be some kind of reinforcement on the back there, and it's gone. That was probably due to the fact that there was either some form of aerial, a wireframe aerial, or the actual loudspeaker, or even perhaps the batteries for this thing, because this is a battery set. It would have used big external accumulator batteries and a big HT battery. They may have even sat on the top of it all its life, but something with some weight has always sat up here, or it was after the radio was retired. It may have ended up with a box on it for years. You just don't know, but something has made that all basically warp in like that, so all that needs addressing. I have a feeling this is actually homemade as well. At first, when I first got it, I thought this might be a manufacturer's set, but the more I look at it, the more the fact that this, I think, has actually been cut with a fret saw. It's not perfect. It's very, very good, but it's not perfect. The fact that that is another piece of plywood, it's not a piece of ebony. Or ebonite, you know, something ebonized, like a tortoiseshell look, or black ebonite or something like that. It's just a piece, another piece of plywood. Like I said, I have a feeling this is a home constructed set, but it's still a very early, you know, very nice example, which I would normally not buy because it'd be out of my price range. What is nice, considering again what I paid for it, if we slide the back off, and this is how you gain access to the inside of it. We literally have a back in a nice groove there that slides up and out. It is actually complete. So we've got a 3-valve set basically. It's a TRF set, tuned radio frequency. It's got all the original resistors. Someone has rewired it at some point here. We've got these wires here will be for a grid bias battery. So we have internal grid bias battery there. In fact, it's still got the clip there, which would have held it. And then we've got we'll have a filament voltage and a high tension voltage on these. We've got various things disconnected, so it's not in, like I said, pristine condition or anything. I can actually see a piece of paper down there. I wonder what that says. Piece of wood that's dropped off. And I've just spotted something. Oh, well, someone's nice to us. They've told us the heaters are 2 volts. I knew that anyway, because these will be like a PM series valve, I think. Let's try and pull one out very gently. Yeah, we've got a PM202, a Mullard PM202 there. That's, don't know what the other valve count is. Let me put these back in. I do have replacements for these. I have quite a few of the early 2 volt heater filament valves. Let me just make sure I get this back in its socket so I don't lose it or damage it. He says, haha. And where's them pins? There they are. That way, I think. There we go, that's back in. So we've got our three valves there. We've basically got a detector. I can't see a diode detector, a cat's whisker or anything in here, so we'll have one valve. These are all triodes. We've got one valve which will be acting as a detector. We've got some RF amplification, and then we've got some AF amplification, and it's literally as simple as that in these sets. They are very, very, very basic. So I'm coming to the point now where it's probably is a home constructed set, this. Looking at it, we've got all original components. These are actually holders down here. Let me get you zoomed in a bit so you can see. In fact, I've not got my top light on, that's why it's so dark. Let me switch my top light on, and let's see if that'll help the situation a bit, and I'll get you zoomed in so you can see what I'm on about. If we're looking here, these are the resistors used, and they're actually in their own individual holders. That's how cool it is. These old point-to-point wired sets like this, these homebrew sets. These are the capacitors, like I said, again in their own little holders. None of these will be any good. They all dry up and short, but they're so easy basically to gut out there, put a modern capacitor inside them, and once they're resealed and refilled, no one will ever know the difference. So you can do some really nice restorations with sets like this. That is bent, that will need sorting out. Basically, it's going to need a full cabinet job on this, full cabinet restoration. But I think it'll end up being a really, really nice display piece when it's done. And if I can indeed get the amplifier section of it working, and we could connect like a little MP3 player, or in fact even like a little Bluetooth receiver, and hide that inside there, and connect it up to one of my horn speakers, and we could actually have it playing. So yeah, I'm super pleased with that. Like I said, I normally shy away from these because they normally sell for more than I'm willing to pay for them. I've got that the wrong way around, haven't I? Yes. That should be that way around. And the only nice thing is, I can't see any woodworm in this. A lot of these sets, in fact some of the ones that I've got, one of my Cossers, fortunately it's a tin cabinet on that. But the entire back, that had spent many, many, many years in someone's shed. And the entire base of it had been eaten by a woodworm. And I had to take what was left of it, which was literally like tissue paper, and trace around it and make a new one when I rebuilt that set. This one, apart from, I think it's obviously been somewhere very damp, which has caused all the glues to fail and everything in it to warp to some extent. But apart from that, I can't actually see any woodworm or anything like that in this. So it's just going to be a case of straightening it out, gluing it all back together, refinishing it, repolishing the cabinet, and like I say, it's going to be a really, really nice display set. That I said, hopefully I may be able to get it working to some extent as well. But did I pay for it? I actually got this off the bring and buy stall, where people, you know, that aren't trading actually at the event, but they've perhaps got a radio to sell or some bit of junk they want to sell, can stick it on the bring and buy stall and put a price on it, and people can, you know, decide to buy it or not. That's where I picked this up, and I paid a tenner for it, which quite frankly, those valves and the holder, one of those valves and the holder are worth a tenner each. So, I mean, there's 30 quid in valves in it, if the valves are good. The holders are all look good, the holders are decent. Then you've got all the control knobs. That's how you can really value a set in this condition. It's basically what the parts are worth. So you've got a really good vintage control knob and condenser behind there. You've got a reaction control and condenser. You've got another, which I think would be volume, but I'm not sure what's behind it. You've got an old-fashioned pull-on style, off-style switch. That's your probably your on-off. So really, I mean, all that's probably another 20 quid there. So you've probably got £50 in parts if you was to part this radio out, which would be an absolute shame. Like I say, I paid a tenner for it, but I've no intention of parting this out. I'm going to restore the cabinet and have it as a really nice display piece. So anyway, that's the first radio that I bought. Considering I only bought 2 radios, I'll get the second radio that I bought, which is here. Which, yeah, well, you can tell how much that I paid for it because I haven't taken the sticker off. Yeah, this was a fiver. We've got a late 1950s. Basically, it's a sideboard set. This would have sat in your, probably in your dining room on top of the sideboard. It's quite a decent set. This is not one of the cheaper sets, although it is actually in a Bakelite case rather than a wooden case, which does indicate it's of the cheaper end. It, generally speaking, if they was in a Bakelite case, they were worth less. They were cost less than if they were in a wooden case, which is ironic because nowadays the Bakelite case sets tend to be the more valuable sets. The wooden case sets less so. Only reason that I bought this set, one, it was 5 quid. 2, I think it will make a nice restoration, and I'm hoping it'll make a nice restoration that I can also do a Bluetooth conversion on. What I like about it, and one of the reasons I bought it, We've got separate bass and treble controls. We've got a basic EQ, so we've got a speech, we've got a music. The piano keys are a bit iffy on it, we're going to have to go through them. But we've got also gramophone, long, medium and FM. Now AM is really, and these are all sticking, like I said, I'm going to have to do some work on the piano keys on this. AM is really dead in the UK now. If you've got a radio and you want a retro radio that you actually want to be able to use and actually listen to radio on, rather than just repurpose for something else, you really need a set with FM on it. This is, like I said, this has got FM on it. What do we go up to? We even go up to 103. Yeah, we go up to 103, perhaps even get 104 on the dial, which means we can get right up to the top. We can get classic FM, which is at about 100, just 101, somewhere around there. A lot of the earlier sets, the radio only goes from 88 to 100, and you've got to do a little bit of tweaking just to get classic FM right at the end. This will pick up obviously classic FM and a little bit further along as well. So you've got more you can pick up more stations on it basically than some of the earlier FM sets. And yeah, I just think it will make a nice radio. Like I said, with it having the gram input there, that really plays itself to doing a Bluetooth conversion on it, because no one's going to be plugging a plus a gram turntable into one of these nowadays. But wouldn't it be cool if you could go up to your old radio, switch it onto gram like that, pull your phone out and play your music off your phone on your vintage 1950s radio completely wirelessly, not having to plug anything in. I just think that's a really cool concept. And all these radios that have a gram input on them, it's it's quite easy to do, and it's safe because you're not actually having a wire coming out of a valve radio, even if it's an AC/DC set. It's something I'm working on at the moment, is to actually come up with a unit that you can fit to any radio and actually give it Bluetooth connectivity in a safe way. Like I said, with AC/DC sets, it's a little bit risky getting like line inputs into them and things like that, because you've got a floating chassis. That chassis is at half mains potential, it's at either negative potential or mains potential depending on how it's wired. With Bluetooth, there is no actual connectivity. You're not actually connecting anything physically to the radio, it's all wireless. Like I say, I just think it's a really neat concept in a way that we can keep some old radios still, relevant nowadays, as AM is basically going off air. There's very, very, very little on there to listen to anymore. Anyway, let's have a bit more of a look at this. Now, £5. You'd think is very, very, very cheap for one of these. Generally speaking, a nice set like this, late 50s with FM on it, especially with not being a completely bass set. It's got bass and treble, it's got a Magic Eye, it's got all the stations, well, long wave, medium wave and FM. It's no short wave on it, but you can't have everything. Generally speaking, we're talking, for an unrestored set, that's ripe for restoration, I wouldn't, I'd expect to see 20 quid, 25 quid maybe. £5 was very, very good, but there's a reason for that, and there's a bloody great big crack running right along the top of it there. That's why this was a £5, really, more than anything else, because the cabinet, with Bakelite, condition is everything. The scratches and damage on the front here don't matter a bit, that can all be repainted. A dirty great big crack in the Bakelite, that absolutely kills the value of it. But for a £5, to be honest, the type of set where you can say it's worth, the valves are worth more than I paid for the set by a long shot. But I'm fairly confident I can do quite a decent repair on that. And actually, I want to practice with a few techniques of repair in Bakelite like that, because I've got a very, very, very nice, quite sought after set. Which I'm still regretting, because it was up in my other workshop and some shelving collapsed and something very heavy fell on it, and it's got a very, very, very similar crack to that. But this is a set that's worth quite a few £100. It's a, you know, a desirable collector's set, and I was absolutely mortified when that happened to it. But if I can do a decent job on repairing this, I may pull that back out and actually look at it again and see if I can actually do a decent repair on that as well and finish that set off. Anyway, so let's turn it round. And actually, it's quite decent, this. We've got a built-in FM aerial there. We've got a speaker output there for an external speaker. That's our turntable input for our gramophone. We've also got an output for a tape recorder. So it's actually got a line out on this. That's quite nice, really. And I presume that's for a different type of aerial. I've never actually seen a phono. It says Swiss long wave. So I don't know what that's for, but anyway, it says Swiss long wave there. Like I said, that's our standard FM there in the aerial. Then we have our usual lungwire aerial and ground connections there. First thing I see, which is apparent, that most of the screws are missing out of the back. There should be a screw in there, there should be a screw in there, there should be a screw there, screw there, screw there, screw there. We've got 2 screws up there. Let's pop them out. Fortunately, it does seem to have all its tabs, because then tabs can break loose and get missing. And the back's not in horrendous condition. It needs a little bit of repair work, but the back's not horrendous. I've just noticed as well it's got a directional AM aerial, so it was a reasonably high-end set. Even being a Bakelite set, it was still quite a high-end set with all the features it's got. Right, let's get this back off. And we've got the wonderful Murphy valve numbering, which they use their own, but we can figure out what everything is anyway. It's not a problem. Got a Mazda there. I think it uses all Mazda valves. Mains transformer there. That's what I was saying about AM directional aerial. So we've got a ferret rod like we'd find in a portable AM radio, but it's mounted on a little thing so you can actually rotate it round for best reception without having to actually move the whole radio round. Obviously, with this being a, you know, like I said, a sideboard set, only the better quality radios had that. The cheap ones, you were stuck. They either just used a frame aerial, which you just had to kind of like move the radio slightly, or if they did use a ferret, it was fixed and you had to put up with what you got. Right, we've got, that's the FM front end, that's loose, so we're going to have to do something with that. Looks like the screws missing from there. I hope no one's been messing about in this, and I hope it's just, you know, worked loose, but yeah, our FM front end's flopping around. There's 1 screw holding it in. What I'm looking at underneath is if I can see if any work's been done for regarding the capacitors in it. Let's just tip it down like that and see what we can see. What I can't see is a big pile of wax paper capacitors in there. I can see 1 there, but that's it. I can also see the dial string for the tuning is flopping around in there, so the tuning's gone. So it's going to need a restring. It's going to need some work on the FM front end there, because it's not actually properly attached anymore. I can actually just get to the front of it, so we might be able to see if we can get that to tune. Shall we put some volts up it and see what it does? Right, where's the safe block? Oops, let's move you out of the way a bit so we can get this drawer open. Right, we've got the safe block. And we'll get the lamp limiter as well. Let's be on the safe side. Seeing this set is unknown. I don't know when it was last powered up. I don't know when it was last played with. So we'll be on the safe side. I've got the, let me get you zoomed out a little bit so you can see what we're doing. No, I can't. You're as far out as you can go. We'll plug the lamp limiter in. We'll put the lamp in series. That's in fact just going to be off shot into. Let me see if I can get that in shot for you. You can see that now, can't you there? Right. Into that we will plug the safe block. Switch off there. This is just a safe way of connecting any appliance that doesn't have a plug on it. So basically we've got a fuse in there. Obviously there's a fuse in the plug as well, and then we've got spring contacts. Neutral on like that. Live in like that, and then when we shut that down, basically we make the circuit. It's completely safe. It's designed for working on appliances that don't have a mains plug fitted to them in a safe way. It's safer than what I've seen other people do, which is like shove the wires in the end of an IEC lead and things like that. Right, let's give it some volts and see what happens. Like I said, the reason we're using the safety lamp is basically if there's a dead short in here or something, the safety lamp will light up and we won't cause too much damage to the actual radio itself. It's got a lovely big Clariston speaker in there, so when this is working it should actually sound really quite good. Can't see where the output transformer is, so I don't know quite how beefy that is, but I don't think that's going to short on anything. Let's oh, that's not good. Straight off again there. So that indicates basically we've got a dead short somewhere. If you saw how bright that lamp lit then. So if we hadn't have used the safety lamp and we'd have just plugged this thing straight in, we will have either blown a fuse. Well, we would have blown a fuse. We'd have blown the fuse in the mains plug. Depending on how your house is wired, we'd have probably tripped the breaker for the ring main downstairs. If you've got an older way, you could have even blown the fuse in your mains wiring. So yeah, this set's going to need some more investigation. We'll be doing a full video on this. I always like to just have a quick try, you know, see what's going to happen. But you don't just plug them in. You never just plug them in. That's, you know, that's for Steve. If you really know what you're doing, occasionally, yes, you can get away with it. I like a quiet life. I don't like loud flashes and bangs. Not unless I'm making loud flashes and bangs anyway. So yeah, this set is going to need some proper investigation on it. Like I said, we obviously there have a pretty dead short. That wasn't just the initial surge light up you get from like old capacitors charging up. We had a pretty constant bright bulb there, which indicates we've definitely got a short somewhere in the radio. So like I said, we're going to stop there on this and we'll come back when I'm ready for it. I've got lots of projects in the pipeline at the moment, so it's not going to be any time too soon, but we will get on with this. 'Cause like I said, I am keen to see what I can do with it. At the very least, like I said, I paid a £5 for it. So providing the output valve's good, the rectifier valve's good, the mains transformer's good, that's my £5 there. I'm not going to lose out on it no matter what. It's, if nothing else, like I said, it's a good stripper, it's a good spares radio, but I think I can repair that damage to the top of it. I can sort out whatever's wrong internally with it. And I think it would make a nice radio. especially like, if I can do a Bluetooth conversion on it on that old gram, so people can connect their phone to it and play their phone through it, because basically it's got a fairly decent output stage on it. It's got a nice big Clariston oval speaker in it, so it should actually, and it's got the bass and treble controls on it, so yeah, it should make a rather nice radio. It's going to be a fair bit of work though. Like I said, we've got physical damage and the insides. It's going to take a little bit of work on it, we'll put it that way. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. I hope you enjoyed having a quick look at what I picked up at Golborne this year. Like I say, you should be, I don't know if you'll see that 20s one or not, or whether that's something I'm just going to tinker away with on my own, but I'm sure I'll probably do a video on seeing what we can do with this thing anyway. Right, I say I'll leave it there for now. I hope you enjoyed that, so I'll say thanks for watching and goodbye.